Okay, so we're going to talk about the future of audience buying. And this morning, all of you heard that last year in 2015, we transacted over $1 billion in managed revenue advertising dollars on the platform, that our orders business in Q4 was 18% of managed revenue, and that you hear a lot of us talking about how orders really is a greenfield opportunity that has a TAM, a total addressable market, 2x the size of the auction, and that orders is really the automation of the trading relationship, and that's something we're going to talk about today. And then you also hear us talk a lot about mobile, right? And this is the building to the cross-media future we're all in, and that was 31% of our managed revenue in Q4, and that today we're operating the third largest mobile exchange in the world. Now, I'm going to start kind of with conclusion first here, and then we're going to kind of parse it out. There's unification in the approach to trading audience, and there's a consolidation in the approach and in the technology buyers and sellers use to manage automation. So these guys are going to help me talk about kind of two pieces. One is organization, and many of you have heard me talk about understanding the edges, meaning understand the adoption of ad automation and programmatic among the buyers, the advertisers, and their agents in the advertising agencies, and the media owners, okay? And we have some voices here that are going to help us do that. And then also the technology piece, too, right? So MediaMath, in turn, are going to help us kind of parse through that. Now, the first topic I want to start with, and John, I'm going to start with you from the IPG side of the house here, is breaking down the silos between guaranteed orders and private deals. So I think Dax talked a bit about this, and we announced an important partnership with Cadreon yesterday, another one with MediaOcean this morning, and talk to everybody here about the relationship between private deals and then guaranteed orders.
Sure. So yeah, we were really happy to have the press release go out yesterday. I think it's an affirmation of a lot of hard work over a couple of years. So that was awesome. Really, what we're interested in doing is understanding that what we're trying to accomplish in private marketplaces and where we're trying to accomplish in Go and guaranteed orders. There's a lot of bridges that can be drawn between the two of them. And so we see the consolidation of non-guaranteed and guaranteed buying into a single platform, kind of helping Cadreon's vision of working more strategically with our key publisher partners as we go into upfronts with publishers thinking about both television, mobile, everything. How can we include programmatic in those conversations and really bridge the gap between what's going on an traditionally indirect and direct basis and making that one conversation.
And do just 1 minute on the idea of always on private deals and the signals you get there that are translatable into guaranteed.
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that I mentioned in the press release is that, it's a key initiative to actually draw spend off of the open exchange and into our private deals. And so what we've done, and I think, the other agency trade desk partners who are here with me would agree, is we tried to set up lots of always-on deals with our key publisher partners. At this point, I think we're nearing 1,000 different deals across the industry with our ComScore 250 and beyond. But really looking at the bid signals that are present within those deals and looking at not so much, and this is the important part, what we're winning, but what we're not winning. Right. What are we attempting to buy, and how can we translate that loss into where guaranteed orders can fill that void for us, so that the bid signal is being an indicator of where guaranteed orders can work for us.
Yeah, good. Sam, when you and I were talking before coming here today, one of the things you said to me that I thought was really interesting is kind of deals. We were talking about really, I think, PMPs and the deal ID infrastructure. They created the new waterfall schema, and explain as simply as you can what you meant by that, and then what's happening today, like maybe what John's talking about, that gets us a little bit beyond that, right?
So, so the deals did create a hierarchy that didn't exist when RTB was founded, right? So you have different transactions that happen, like a first right deal is different than a preferred auction. You might be in a preferred auction, you're always on. We do a very similar thing to what John described, that I want to look in the open auction where I'm bidding and where I'm losing, and then I'm going to move into a PA, have a higher priority in terms of clearance, then move up into a first right deal. And then that also helps me understand where I can go do a guarantee and the volume of it. We're actually doing a lot of audience guarantees as well that are going directly into the ad server. And so it's a really interesting, and it's changed the complexity. So we've built an entire team that works directly with publishers for this, because you have to go back to negotiation. Always on is a great tactic for it, because it means you don't have to keep coming back as often.
Right.
But working through this kind of hierarchy all the way up into guaranteed, it provides the visibility about, losing is just as important as winning, right? And it shows me where the prices are, where other buyers might be, what do I have to do to get ahead of them, how do I make sure that I can capture my user at any price point and all the time when I want them, right? And so the hierarchies are really interesting, and they're totally different from where we started. And it's less than the ad server, but you have to now know not just the exchange, but the ad server as well.
Yeah, good. Okay. Let's shift the topic a little bit, and I want to talk for a few minutes about who controls the assembly of value in all this, buy side, sell side. And Maureen, I'm going to start with you. And when we were talking, you talked a lot about the auction, and you said, I am still a firm believer in the auction, and that there's a ton more opportunity on that side of the house. So
the open auction.
The open auction.
You can still do a lot of things to fix it. Yes.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that.
But is your main question, where does the value lie? Sorry, I
who
want to make sure.
constructs the value? So what we're talking about there is typically, historically, in the open auction, I would argue the construction of value has been on the buy side, that agencies and advertisers have used a turn or a MediaMath to assemble what is valuable. And that when you look in the orders market, there's a much more of a push and pull, and a lot of that packaging of value still sits with a media owner.
Well, let's not talk about technology. Value is as a publisher, do you guys like money from advertisers? That has value
Yes.
to you.
Yes.
Yes. See, we're already, can you help me out there? Thanks. Okay. So there's value in that, but there's also value in high quality content, true video content that is news, things that are audited. So there's the word value, I think it's batted around because there can be this perception that the value is being stolen or taken. So I'm going to speak on behalf of the advertiser. The thing that Programmatic has done for them in audience-based buying specifically is they have a ton of data on their consumer and prospects. They spend millions of dollars. They do surveys. They bring people in-house to test out products. And in digital, it was very difficult for them to take this valuable asset, the data on consumers and prospects, and leverage it in how they buy, right? So in their eyes, they want to determine age, gender, propensity to buy, churn models, not you, publisher. Because in their eyes, that's not data you have, okay? Now you as the publisher, though, have a ton of value in the context on the page, on the users that you drive to your audience, to your pages, right? So I do believe there's a ton of value, but when it comes to I'm an advertiser, where I'm going to spend my next $1 million, if I have a strong audience and I can find those users, I'm going to tell you who they are.
All right, so Jeremy, let me bring you in as the kind of voice of the media owner here. What's the push and the pull and kind of the merging together you see at Weather across an auction market and the orders market? How is that coming together?
Yeah, well, we've been very aggressive in building out a programmatic organization for several years now. That goes to our leadership and our philosophy about how we go to market. On one hand, the auction does make a lot of sense. I think the thing that's still a challenge in the world of audience buying is forecasting. And if you're a property like Weather, that's multiplied many times
Absolutely,
over.
yeah.
There are instances where we can have 2 to 3x volume shifts in a single day, right,
Yep.
due to a weather event. So we still need that open auction to bring sort of unexpected or unplanned inventory to market and extract as much yield as possible from that. But what we also know is that we have a very valuable audience, really no matter how you measure it. A buyer could measure it. Somebody like Nielsen could measure it. Any number of the data companies in the world can measure it. They tend to realize that there's a valuable audience on premium publishers, right? They all kind of come to that conclusion. So what happens is the buy side also understands that, and I think they're going through really useful iterations right now about how to measure that, and everyone on this stage and in this room is leading that. But at the end of the day, you still need that audience, and if you're an advertiser, like an autos advertiser, for example, and you want people who are in market for your pickup truck, kind of no matter how you slice it, you're going to find them in some way, shape, or form on weather. And as a marketing strategy, there might be periods when you're launching a new product where you would like to block out your competitors. So what you would do in that case is you would make a guaranteed buy and make sure that no other competitors can access that audience for a period of time. So ultimately, it's both for us.
Yeah, and when you're talking about your auto example, that really is, I mean, talk about the nature of that trading relationship between you and the advertiser, because that is something that really
well, I'm teeing up John for a conversation later is what's going on here.
That drives the, really drives the advertising business, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, I mean, as much as, and trust me, I'm one of the biggest fans of all the technology and advancements we've made, but marketing strategy is still pretty, there's not necessarily a change there, right? So you want to get a share of voice, however that's measured. You want a share of a certain audience. You have a target that you are going after. Yeah. And again, whatever yardstick you're using, many of the ones that we've created are better than the ones that have been used historically. You ultimately want some sort of ownership around that audience for your product. So I think that's where the strategy stays the same.
So I just want to add one other thing. I think we talk about audience and we all really are set because it's so great to be able to find the user. But let's not ignore the fact that marketers still spend a ton of money looking for people who they don't know, and you can use contextual, right? So there are phenomenal contextual vendors that both MediaMath and Turn use. So the marketer does have budget focused on finding just the content that their potential consumer might be reading about or when they're doing research, right? So I think I want to make sure we're also clear that what you're writing on your pages and how transparent you make those pages are very, very critical for the buying tools.
Yeah, MediaMath does, when we do a lot of the guarantees, we're trying to populate as much of the first-party audience as we can, but we also know from working with all of our marketers that we want to also get net new customers. So a guarantee is usually a mix. I think that, if I look at what's coming from Google with their programmatic guarantee, I think it's a little bit flawed because it's similar to the kind of the Criteo model, which is you have to know the audience before you buy them. And we want to just adjust the mix. And what we found is that in a traditional order, working with a publisher, they're going to get about 10% of my first-party audience when they distribute that order to me. When we can add our own targeting against the same budget, due to volatility and other things, if we can get to 70% of our first-party audiences, defined as remarketing and CRM, we're able to get a 300% performance improvement for the advertiser. Yeah. And that means that we can afford to pay more. We can actually, try and buck the trend of procurement getting paid on CPM decline. And we can work better with the publisher because with the other part that we haven't talked about yet is the underlying inventory mix. You got to it a bit with a competitive exclusion, but if I want to really buy out the page, if I want to have a message that's more sequenced, the publisher can add a lot of value in that by helping to explain the way your ad server works, your priorities, your setup, all of those things so that we can interact with a programmatic tool into your existing ad server in the way that you would normally sell your direct sold. And when we do these guarantees, we're seeing that the eCPA can be more effective on direct order than it could be in the open auction if the audience mix is right. It doesn't have to be only our audience, but it has to be the right mix.
Right, got it. Okay, so John, I want to go to you, and I want to shift the topic again slightly to kind of the merging of ad tech and martech. Right? Because what these guys are talking about is now advertiser data and CRM, Sam, you mentioned it specifically, kind of coming into the environment here and how we look at it across media properties. And there's been a lot of push and pull about how all this data kind of gets shared, gets laid down, and how we move from basically a spot process in the open market to more of a guaranteed process in the orders market. And a lot of this is about sharing signals when we connect all these pipes together. So talk to us a little bit about the general importance of this, and then directionally, I know that you in kind of an IAB forum and with Neil Richter, our CTO, have talked about something called Tactic ID. So this is something new, it's an idea, it's just emerging, but I think it's an important signal of kind of progression forward. So
Yeah, sure.
help us
Thank
out.
you for that. So to put the cherry on top of what Sam was saying, I mean, we absolutely see value in what publishers have to offer us. I mean, yes, we know what we want, but we also know that publishers know more about their users than we do.
Yeah.
The problem with today's OpenRTB spec is that there's a purposeful lack of transparency about where the bid origin came from within the DSP. So you have a tier of transparency that comes from the URL landing page, which may be tristatebmw.com.
Okay.
And then you might actually have something like campaign ID, which might potentially, if people are actually sending it, which they tend not to be, might give some sort of indication of the top level, well, this is a 3 Series BMW. But what it doesn't say is, what's all the information beyond that? You've got, and this is very technical, so I apologize, but you have creative ID, which is the ads that are running across the entire campaign.
Yep.
Or you have some other stuff, but it doesn't really give you the origin of the actual in-market auto-intender for that specific campaign. What we're proposing is with the publishers, the key strategic publishers that we have our always-on deals with, and only them, because we want to have NDAs with them, we want to look them in the eye, we want to actually have a business transaction with them, is that we want to send them an actual tactic ID that identifies what the specific most granular level bidding origin was, so that the campaign manager and the seller can actually talk about what they're trying to accomplish. Making it tactical makes it useful to bridge between the always-on deal ID and the actual guaranteed orders. Without that, we're talking in generalities, and it's very difficult to move the needle.
And something like that would really, I mean, I think when we spoke on the before, you said that really replaces something that's otherwise impossible to do, which is have that conversation with literally hundreds or thousands of sellers.
Yeah, and the way we look at it is, look, everybody's going to have their own approach to this, but potentially what we think is going to happen is that, this will lay a foundation for a whole new level of analytics that are shared between publishers and sellers, a level of transparency that only occurs in a private auction and in a strategic partnership, and really brings more value to that always-on deal that isn't really being extracted right now for publishers. So, we've submitted the spec to the IAB Tech Lab, generally seeing pervasive acceptance across every DSP and SSP we've talked to, so we're very excited about it.
Good. All right. Maureen, the merging of ad tech and martech, so you guys operate a DMP as well as a DSP, so I mean, that's a unique position in the market. So what's your take on the two converging, and what have you been able to do by having both those assets?
So, I mean, I think it's inevitable. Timing is really what the question is here. So when you talk to the marketer and you talk about the things that they really care about, again, if I could draw you a little bubble, right, it would be what their overall marketing budget is, and it's sliced out, right? Digital advertising is a piece of that bubble, and programmatic right now is still a piece of that bubble within the bubble. So when we looked at MarTech, it was really about our large DMP customers wanting to bring over their existing data sets. So CRM onboarding should be understood across the industry as a standard. But you also can connect directly your email data, so email open, you can place a pixel on there. So connecting with email companies has been a really helpful thing for our larger clients. But the other thing is it goes in both directions. So they want all of that data in so that they can get insights. They're starting to use this for their creation of the ads. It's not just about how do I look at this data and make the analytics on it so that I can spend more dollars. It's actually they're looking up funnel. They're thinking through targeting strategies, the creative strategies. They're also on the push side of MarTech. They want that data in and the insight so they can push their earned media. They can change their website content. And I think that the minute that we as an industry can understand that Frank's speech about is that advertising or content, a lot of larger brands want to connect with consumers in both ways. The great example, you can watch a video on our website, is Kraft. Kraft really wanted to engage with consumers, they're not going to be able to track down that I bought hot dogs or not. They care about the fact that I come to Kraft for recipes, and they wanted to become a content creator. And they're also able to leverage Turn. Even though, yes, we have a DSP and we're a buyer, our DMP is allowing them to connect with our marketing stack as well.
Yeah, good. Okay, I'm going to change the topic again now to header bidding, and Sam, I'm going to start with you and talk for a minute about why is this grabbing so many headlines, and isn't this a continuation of ad server, dumb pipe, programmatic, smart pipe, and just another step in emptying out the ad server? Because one of the things you said to me is, 95% of the people understand 5% of what header tags can do. So give us your window onto that.
So header tags have been around for a very long time. I think
Yeah.
they were like 2005 with Lithium, which is predates even my involvement in the industry. But I've thought they were always very interesting because they have the ability to invert the market, right? We've taken programmatic from the bottom up, and I think that you're seeing adoption across the industry because we really want to put the auction at the top. A publisher doesn't know what its inventory is worth if it doesn't hit the market and get the price, right? So if you've got a direct sale, to an advertiser and you're not hitting the market, how do you know you priced it right? If you're an advertiser and you're in the exchange, you're only seeing the users that come after the direct sales has run. So we want to be able to see 100% of the users, and that can only really be done if the auction is at the first priority in the ad server or from the head, which comes before the ad server. And then secondarily, we want the ability to action against that audience, right? And so we're doing a lot of guarantees through header tags because we can actually signal a priority 1 or 2 and make sure that we can win 100% of the audience that we want. And that's a very powerful concept for an advertiser. It goes back to where John was, which is how do you use the open auction into deals and then go into the ad server while still retaining programmatic value. So I think it's a really good tool for both the buyer and the seller. You get to see 100%. You guys get to get pricing from us if we want to pass. If MediaMath will actually bid on things that we don't want, so we can help the publisher understand what we would be willing to pay, and that's part of what creates that transparent conversation with publishers. And then we can actually allocate when we need to and get a forecasted buy that's good for a publisher. We can guarantee the spend. I mean, volume, value, and flight date. It's not just the CPM that we're guaranteeing. So I think the header tag is the market saying, hey, we want the auction at the top. And you haven't really seen that from ad serving companies. They've always put it at a price priority. The second thing I think it's going to do is we're starting to be able to do much more complicated buys, because within the ad server you can do things that the exchange cannot. The ad server can do companion ads. It can do competitive exclusion. It can do full page takeovers that GDN can do but no one else can do through Google. So all of a sudden you can go around the infrastructure of the exchange in terms of what it allows and its ability to connect ad units, and you can leverage the value of the ad server. So I don't think the ad server is a dumb pipe. I actually think that the exchange is a bit dumb too, because while it knows a lot more about audience, it doesn't know as much about execution. So if we can combine audience and execution, which you can do through a header, it becomes a really exciting thing for everyone in the market.
Okay, so we're kind of getting there, really, with header bidding, with the idea that John's talking about with tactic ID. All right, give me what you got quickly, and then we're going to
quick
go
on
to
header
wrap.
bidding. I think there's two things. I think strategically it's spot on. It is finally a full auction of all your inventory, which is the right economic model. I think the challenges are just that, to be clear, as much as this is winning a lot of headlines, this is an immature area on the publisher side from a tech point of view. So I'm suddenly putting all my inventory, basically my entire revenue pool, up for auction. Where are my levers and controls to price differently, control, and do all that? So we're excited, but we need tech companies to help.
Got it. All right, we're here. So, all right, we're going to go to wrap up.
That's why I looked at you.
Yeah, that's right. I know that's why. Okay, so I have a couple fun exercises to end with. We're gonna run down the line. John, I'm gonna start with you. First, we're gonna finish a sentence. Okay, so everyone's gonna get a chance to do this. John, always on private marketplace deals are a sign of
Opportunity.
Partnership.
Confusion.
Back to the future.
a bright future for orders. Okay, finish the sentence. The biggest impact of merging MarTech and AdTech on programmatic media trading is?
one word?
No, you can, well, don't go on for too long, but. Yeah.
One phrase would be merging publisher knowledge with buyer knowledge.
I think it's expanding the pool of addressability.
Yeah, good.
More money.
Clean up the data.
Yeah, the importance of first-party data. Okay, and then here's some yes or no questions. So we're going to finish with these, and maybe Jeremy, I'll start with you.
I really like my previous position of life.
Yeah, you got to keep changing it. Header bidding is new and transformative. Yes or no?
Yes.
No. Half, but no.
Not new, potentially transformative.
Damn you, Sam.
See, that's why that last position's so valuable. You can fix it.
Ditto?
Okay, not new, transformative.
I'm sorry, I have to jump on this because it's a hack, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's just talk about it, right?
It is a hack.
It's a hack, right? And so that's why it's going to affect the publisher's page. It could affect a lot of things. The ad serve as a whole needs to evolve. There just happens to be a really big company that changed its name to Alphabet Soup, and they don't necessarily want to make a ton of changes. I think they're working on it, right? But the reason I still have concern and where I kind of start to cringe when I think about header bidding is it is a hack, and I don't know if publishers exactly know how to use it. I don't know how they're going to forecast and hire salespeople and track their commissions, and I want to make sure that companies like Rubicon stand up and figure out how to improve on it.
All right. Good.
I was not paid for this message.
That was a long sentence. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes or no? Jeremy, I'm going to stay with you. So using the example of tactic ID that Mansell talked about, the advertiser needs to provide the media owner more information. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Some media providers.
Okay, that was 3 words.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes or no?
Maybe.
Oh, good God.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yes. Yes. In orders, the seller has more control over the assembly of value. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Potentially.
I always do this, Jay. I didn't hear the question. Totally zoned
In
out.
orders, the seller has more control over the assembly of value.
The seller has more control of assembly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That's the answer. Yes.
More control, but not total control.
Correct. Okay. All right. The total addressable market for orders, the automation of the trading relationship, is bigger than the TAM for auction. Yes or no?
Yes.
Can you say it again? I apologize.
The market for orders is bigger than the market for auction. Yes or no?
I hope not.
I fundamentally just disagree with this statement. Like if you think about it, guys, we are moving to a place where
guys can't help
all of
yourself.
it's
It's
going to come
unbelievable.
together, right? And if all of it's coming together, then the market is one market. The fact that we keep considering them as separate is the problem, right?
He said auction. He said auction.
Well, everything should hit the auction, and you can have guarantees that say, no, I'm not going
All
to give
right.
it to
Yes
the
or
price.
no?
The market I'm going after is called ad dollars.
Yep. Yes
Bingo.
or no?
All right.
Bingo.
Yes or no? All right. I'm going to say exponentially.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The answer is yes. This is hard, right? It's hard. All right, Mansell, I'll do this with you. Forecasting audience is going to be the arms race of the future.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's for you. Okay.
Yes.
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 Yes, look at that. Oh, that's fabulous. All right. The ad server is the dumb pipe. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
No.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Please.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. All right. Programmatic is the smart pipe. This is it. Programmatic is the smart pipe.
Yes.
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 Smarter.
Yes. Thank you very much.